Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builder Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Bilco RPRS5SS E. This is a very large lifting mechanism that would be used generally on a non-ferrous type construction unit. You'll see these older tubes that are primarily made of, or at least the outer area, the outer telescoping tubes are made of stainless steel. Stainless is slightly magnetic when it's been machined. That would explain the magnet. This is an exceptionally large spring rate. I don't know that there is a larger spring available for any at all for any roof hatch. And when it comes to Bilco, the determination of what is the appropriate lifting mechanism or guide arm or latch or hold open bracket or hinge or gasket is all based on the model of Bilco roof hatch that you have. The concept of guesswork of putting a lifting mechanism on a unit that it wasn't originally engineered for is a non-starter. That sort of supposition is not to be engaged in, because the roof hatch depth, the weight of the lid, the length, all of that conspires to mean a particular spring rate. And this spring rate was used, and I can tell you it was used on a 54-inch wide by 30-inch deep roof hatch. Not particularly large in the world of roof hatches, which can get exceptionally large. And it appears to be made of steel, but what's interesting is the manufacturer classified this client's door as a security door. The guesswork comes in the fact that the factory does not manufacture produce a bill of materials for all of their roof hatches. Even though they have it, it's not published. They don't publish it. The way to determine what parts you need is to have a serial number, is the best way to do that. They are on the sidewall of Bilco roof hatches. Sometimes, not always. In the absence of that serial number, lots of photographs would be very helpful, because that will allow us to work with the factory, and then they can determine, based on the opening size as well, what spring rate. They can calculate the spring rate based on your images and based on your size. So let's switch to the screen view, where we can take a look at the supporting documentation the client provided us onto which a decision was made that this was the right spring. And again, it is a matter of getting that information in the hands of the manufacturer and letting them tell us what the engineering says about spring rate. So let's switch to the screen view now. Now here is one of the images that the client provided us for what they needed to have replaced. The client ordered 2 of the replacement lifting mechanisms, as well as a replacement hold open arm. And let's take a closer look at that. Okay, so 480 pound rated units on this roof hatch. Now, I know that this is an unusual door in the sense that it has a latch that I'm not familiar with. It has a hold open bracket on the left side, and it has a guide arm on the right side. The hold open bracket is clearly compromised, and that's certainly why they've replaced it. I can't say for sure that the lifting mechanisms do not work, except that the client's ordered replacement, so they must not work. And we're going to investigate that latch and see what the factory says that is all about. Now, the next image shows up a little bit better view of our item. Sorry about that rotating. And these images will be listed down below, and you'll be able to review them. These are customer supplied photos. Another view of both of them. That latch, which doesn't apply. Now, this unit did not have a serial number on it, so that's why knowing the width and the depth of the unit, along with these photographs, allowed the manufacturer to reasonably indicate to us what they believe firmly would be the proper lifting mechanism for this material. So what I'm driving at is the factory does not engage in guesswork, and none of these roof hatch manufacturers do. being in a position to call them and say, well, we need this. They're not going to deal in anything other than very clear-cut scenarios where they know that they're replacing their material on their roof hatches, whether it be Bilco or any other manufacturer of roof hatches. And we absolutely don't engage in or endorse using parts from one manufacturer on another. There's simply no way to know that you're going to be able to safely operate that unit. And the importance of getting the correct material cannot be more clearly expressed than this picture. Without the right spring rate, is that 12 feet off the floor? 10 feet off the floor? I don't know. It's a long fall. That if you got the wrong springs on there, that could be quite dangerous. Now, let's switch back to the camera view and look at the other parts that are included with this and then wrap up this video. Okay, we will wrap up this video by showing you the balance of the parts included with this. You'll have your two mounting brackets that will go on the lid, and these two brackets will, of course, mount to the underside of the lid and will allow you to straddle the yoke, so to speak, of your installation. Okay. Then you'll have your bottom boot. And of course your lifting mechanism will sit inside of it. Okay. Now, the final thing to review would be all of the bolts. You'll have a hex cap screw. These are all stainless, by the way. A hex cap screw and a bolt that will go through your two mounting brackets. Okay, right through this. Seen in those photographs we reviewed earlier. You're going to have 4 bolts for your two brackets. You'll need 4 of these stainless hex cap screws, a total of 4. You'll then have a couple of hex cap screws and nylon lock nuts for mounting of the bottom boot through the sidewall. So what will be there. Okay, let's take some basic dimensional properties of all these items so you have an idea. Now, these ship pre-compressed, partially compressed. So I don't know what any of this measures when it's either in the fully closed or fully open position. When it's partially compressed, the overall length is about 13 1/8. Okay, overall length. One thing that I find very helpful is knowing the outside diameter of the telescoping tubes, the upper and lower tube. While they are all not unique, it absolutely narrows it down in almost all instances to an absolute size. So let's take the upper tube dimension. That OD is 2.253. The lower tube is 2.012. 2.012 is the lower tube. We'll go all the way to the bottom, the width of your mounting. And this is probably a cast. It's non-ferrous. I'm going to say it's stainless, but I don't believe it's going to be cast in that case. Marginally magnetic. Again, used on non-ferrous applications. The width of that boot, about 2 5/8. You can see from one end where the mounting holes line up, about 3/4 over to about 1 13/16 inches. Overall height, about 1 13/16 inches. And then about a 1/2 inch down to that hole. Projection of the unit, about 2 7/16. The two mounting brackets, and there's one left and one right hand for each. Overall width, 3 inch. Overall depth, I suppose, 3 inch. Overall width, about 1 7/16. And then the height of the bracket, about 3 9/16. That covers all those parts. So, if this visually is a perfect match for what you're looking to replace as best as you can tell, I would be reasonably confident that this is accurate, especially when the unit says Bilco on the sidewall. If there's any guesswork at all, simply do what that other client did. Send us a whole mess of pictures. give us the depth, give us the width of the opening, tell us the composition of the lid so we know this is like they can calculate the weight. Any serial number that's present would be absolutely the best thing to include in all instances, and then we will work with the manufacturer to determine the proper item for your replacement. You don't want to have any guesswork, and definitely not a situation where you're mixing parts. If you have any questions on the Bilco, this is their part number RPRS5SS E or any other Bilco product. Please feel free to reach out to us. There is a link below this video to the manufacturer's page where you can pull up all the Bilco items we sell, along with a link to the manufacturer's website, as well as a link to the full product catalog. And thank you very much.